introduce Ms. Preeti Saluja. Ms. Saluja is associated with Aeris Dynamics as Regional Business Head of India, Subcontinent and Middle East. Preeti Saluja champions excellence in cold chain logistics. Her expertise extends to being an IATA certified dangerous goods trainer and ISO auditor, with a stellar record of mentoring 5,000 plus top pharma executives. She is a sought after speaker, adept in international air freight, logistics, and compliance. Her leadership as the APAC Regional Business Head underscores her commitment to quality assurance and global logistics management. Today, Ms. Saluja will share her insights on temperature-controlled packaging for temperature-sensitive pharma shipments. So please welcome Ms. Saluja.
So I'm going to talk about, as you mentioned, the packaging systems for temperature-sensitive pharmaceutical shipments. Normally, when COVID was there, we all got used to hearing how vaccines are being transported. There was, big hue and cry about the vaccination, Covishield and other vaccinations. And, whenever we used to go for the vaccination also, we would see that there is a small box with the ice packs in it, and the nurse would take out the vaccination from that box, and they will then keep it back to the box to ensure that the cold chain of the pharma product is maintained. So this is the whole thing. Now that box that you must have seen, that is one of the kind of the temperature control packaging that is normally used to maintain the temperature of the vaccine, so that the temperature of the vaccination or any pharmaceutical product, it maintains its efficacy. It doesn't lose its efficacy. So, I come from a company called Aeris Dynamics, which is a Singapore-based company. And Aeris is a pioneer in doing these temperature control packaging systems for last 23 years in Singapore and for last 11 years in India. And then cold chain management, I was just hearing all the good knowledge from Dr. Nitin and Mr. Anthony, Philip Anthony, and how we were talking about the cold chain. So, we were talking a lot about the food, and then, what I do mostly is concentrative, work only on the pharmaceuticals. So I talk about the cold chain of pharmaceuticals, and because I've been into logistics, so the idea is to how we transport the pharmaceutical products from one place to another. What exactly the cold chain is, we are all aware. Cold chain is basically, let's talk about the medicines. From the time it is being manufactured in a GMP facility till the time it is administered to the patient, and anything and everything in between, the temperature that it maintains, that's the cold chain that we talk about. And then normally, although we say about this thing, but what is the real fact? What does WHO says about it? They say that 25% of the vaccines actually reach their destination in a degraded state. 30% of the scrapped pharmaceutical issues can be only logistic issues. And 20% of the temperature sensitive products are damaged due to some problem in the transport. So, normally, because whenever we are talking about life-saving drugs, it's not only the temperature sensitive, it is also sometimes the time sensitive matter. And when we are talking about the time and temperature both, it is important. Sometimes it's very, very easy to say that, we just ship it by air. Whenever we ship it by air, all the challenges, they come into the play. No matter, we can use the best of the packaging systems, we can use best of the infrastructure, best of the resources, everything. But at the end, tarmac can just happen. You are using the best of the packaging system and it reaches the tarmac at the airport, and it is just kept on the runway for some time, and the temperature of the tarmac can go up to 55 degrees in 20 minutes. And at the same temperature, you can just fry an egg in 20 minutes. It is so high, the temperature. So that is why, we have to be very, very careful whenever we are talking about the cold chain and specifically life-saving drugs. Okay, why is it really important? Because if we don't do that, first of all, required and enforced by the authorities. GDP, that is good distribution practices, that's the that is something that is covering it up. And then it is important that we maintain the product integrity and patient safety, which is a paramount importance here whenever we talk about the cold chain in the pharmaceuticals. Okay, what happens if we don't do that? Of course, the patient could be administered an unsafe product. Lack of compliance can lead to, delays, unnecessary delays, substandard products. Thermal variability can lead to inconsistency in the batches. Suppose you are sending, 100 boxes and, the temperature packaging systems that you're using, you're not maintaining them properly. Some are conditioned at a wrong temperature, some are conditioned at the right temperature. There could be differences in the efficacy of the product that is being sent. And then, if there is a regulatory issue, of course, there would be delays and increasing the complexity in the whole trials. The temperature systems that we maintain in pharmaceuticals cold chains could be, the common ones are 15 to 25, 2 to 8 degrees, or minus 0 to minus 18 degrees Celsius, or something that we ship in dry ice, then minus 78.5 degrees, precisely the temperature of dry ice. And some, there are cell and gene therapies which are then sent in cryogenics, liquid nitrogen. So there are all whole range of temperature systems requirements that could come with sending the clinical trial samples, or sending the vaccines, or sending cell and gene therapy, or different biological products also. Okay, so the idea is that we make the right selection of the package when we are sending it for the transportation to reach from one place to another. And in order for us to make sure that it reaches safely, the first thing is that we choose the correct packaging system for that. And when we choose the correct packaging system, what are the things that we need to be careful about? We need to be careful about that, what is the transit time? Let's say the box has to, or the pharmaceutical product has to reach from India to Singapore. Let's say the total flight time could be just 6 hours, but the whole time that it would take would be more than 48 hours. You hand over the shipment to the airline, and then when is the next connection, and the time it is going to take to deliver in Singapore. So let's say if your total transit time is 48 hours, we should make sure that the packaging that we are using it at least for 72 hours, just to see that if there are no misses in between. So ensuring that the qualification time of the packaging system that we are using, it should be more than the total transit time that is there. And then, of course, the transit temperature. Let's say if we have to maintain, if it's a cell and gene therapy shipment, and the requirement of the package is minus 196 degrees Celsius or something, then we should have the correct packaging. What is the right temperature? Whether the package that we are using would be able to maintain that temperature or not. Let's say if it's a dry ice shipment, and we want to maintain minus 80 to minus 20 degrees Celsius, what is the amount of dry ice we are putting in the package? Would it dissipate just in 3 days or 4 days, and the transit time is longer? So transit temperature, we have to check what is the right fit for that temperature. Then, of course, if we have product space, what is the product space? If there is a requirement to use 2 boxes, 3 boxes, can we just ship it in one box, or do we have to really use multiple boxes? What would be the right fit for that? And then refrigerant volume. What is the amount of gel packs or amount of dry ice that we need to put it in? So all these factors actually makes up the need to be considered to make the right choice for the choosing of the package that we use to maintain the cold chain, either for a pharma, or I would say even for food. We were talking like, if we talk about some perishables, food also, it also needs the maintenance of temperature. So, what is the right fit for that also? So what are qualified packaging system? In pharma or in food, wherever, we are talking about the high value shipments, we have to use the qualified packaging systems only. When we talk about qualified, it should have some kind of documented evidence of how the package will perform if it is put under different conditions. So there are different kind of qualified packaging systems available. It could use VIPs, it could use PCMs, phase change materials, and then it could use a mix of refrigerated or frozen gel packs, or it could be semi-active system which uses the thermostats and dry ice to maintain, can cool the shipment. And then there are active systems which, you can just put it, you can just give it an electric current, and then it would work. Bigger commercial shipments are sent in these kind of active systems, which are also called unit load devices by aircraft unit load devices. So passive system, just an example of the passive system, it could use for insulation, we could use the vacuum insulated panels. and or we could use EPS box, whatever the best fit for the requirement is. And then for the temperature control medium, we can cool it. We can use phase change material, or we can use the ice packs or gel packs. And carton could be single use or multiple use based on what your requirement is. Do you want to manage the reverse logistic of the box? Then you can always use a multi-use box from a sustainability point of view. Now, people are talking a lot about sustainability also. When we use these kind of packaging systems, the biggest goal for the pharma companies is, along with maintaining the temperature, along with maintaining the cost, is also the sustainability factor. So for sustainability, if we are using, the boxes for the exports, where you cannot just get the boxes back, it's not easy to get the boxes back. The preference is, of course, to use the single use package. But, if it is just for a domestic setup and you can just get the boxes back, then multi-use boxes, are a good option in that sense. And any package would contain of all these components, the product container, the cardboard box, the insulated material, and of course, the refrigerant that would be used to cool the system. And then there are different kind of boxes available. This is another water-based example of water-based systems. And then this is the bigger, if you have like tons and tons of shipments, let's, and the product is, the volume of the product is too much, then we use these aircraft unit load devices. These are basically, these are active containers. Actually, there is a mix of active and passive containers also. There are passive containers which can utilize phase change materials and vacuum insulated panels also, if we do not want to use the active ones. So all kind of temperatures can be managed in these kind of systems. Then, of course, dry ice is another very common refrigerant. As I said, the temperature is minus 78.5 degrees Celsius. Whenever you would, if you are sending ice creams, or if you're sending a biological substance, blood samples or something, if you would give it to any airline, they would make sure that they would sometimes, they would just put some holes in the box to ensure that carbon dioxide gas gets released out of it. So the package that is used for dry ice, it should permit the release of the carbon dioxide gas. And that is why, airline would always make sure there's a proper marking and labeling that is needed to be done there. And we should never touch it with the bare hands, and always use gloves to use it. So there is a proper, any kind of temperature control packaging system that we use, there is always an SOP that comes along with it, that how do you have to use it. If you do not use it as per the guidelines or as per the SOP, it would not perform. Okay, along with preparing it well, we also have to make sure that when you keep that package, where do you keep that package? Let's say if it's a mixed system which has a combination of refrigerated and frozen gel packs, if you would keep it in a cool room, then it will not perform, the temperature will come down. Whereas if it's a phase change material packaging system, no matter where you put it, normally it would maintain the temperature. So it depends on what kind of system you're using. Accordingly, you have to choose the right storage and the service by the airline also. Okay, normally it is said that when we send the shipment by air or something, can we control the 100% of the cold chain through it? I think we all know the answer, we cannot. Why? Because it goes through all these links. And at any point, if anything goes wrong, it is very, very easy for a temperature controlled shipment or a cold chain shipment to go wrong. So at every step, at every link, at every chain, we have to ensure that everything is going well. Now, how do we ensure that once the shipment has gone out of our hand, there is hardly anything that we can do? So the idea is to put our communication on that is through the labels. When you put right labels on the packaging systems, it would give a communication to the people who are handling it, so that they handle it well, they store it at the right place. Now, just before that, I was hearing about the technology. Now, the technology is, of course, we are talking too much about technology. Earlier, we used to have these temperature loggers, which are just simple. They would just give us the temperature. And when I was reading through the history of the temperature loggers, I realized that earlier, they used to put some kind of a device in any temperature control shipment, and there would be a paper that would come out of it showing the temperature on that. So that's how it all started. And then we saw that the temperature logger increased. It started giving us the only the temperature reading from the time it started, from the time it ended. And that was it. And then we saw that the temperature logger started coming for different temperatures. Then we saw that it came with probe, it came without probe. And then now we are in a era where we are getting not only the temperature, but also the shock, the light, and the GPS, and anything and everything that you would expect, it to give you to do the tracking of where your box is, what is the temperature of the box, where it is. So, I think we've heard good things all about the technologies just before this. So the technology is, of course, improving. And a very, very important point that I heard just now is integration of the technology from one to the another. So, if we have a software wherein, we have keyed in all our jobs, which temperature control shipment is going where, and the integration of the technology, that the temperature logger that you're using, it gets integrated to that. And, the moment you open your app, the moment you open your system, you can see, where your shipment is, what is the temperature at the moment. So the integration of the technology with the current systems also. So now, normally for a pharmaceutical shipment, if it is a clinical trial shipment, 100% times I have seen for a clinical trial shipment, at least, we use the temperature loggers. And how do you see that if your shipment, if your consignee has received the shipment, if it is good, if it is not good to use, if there is an alarm sign to it, there is any kind of indication, then you do not just accept the shipment and start using it. You just keep it in a quarantine. If there is an alarm sign to it, that means there is a temperature excursion, and then it is not safe to use. There are many, many chances that have happened in the past. It's a big story. We don't have that kind of a time to get into the details, but I can tell in short, there was an Eli Lilly shipment, insulin shipment that had happened. And there was it was the, I think, millions of that went into the insurance money, million of dollars, just because a bad insulin shipment that happened from Philadelphia. Yeah, from Philadelphia to some other country, from Frankfurt to Philadelphia. So it was a very, very known case that had happened, and millions of dollars in insurance money. There was a talk about that. And that is why it is very, very important to now the role of technology comes in, that if had we known that the shipment, where the shipment is kept, we could still control it. So the usage of the temperature monitors are very, very crucial. So, but how do you use it? You keep it, you cannot just buy a temperature logger and put it in a box. You should know, how to use it, where to put the temperature logger in a pharma shipment or in a temperature control shipment. And a lot of SOPs and checklists are needed to make sure that, whoever is using it well. So I think the idea, I cannot go so much in detail, but the idea is whenever we prepare a kind of temperature control packaging system, we do a pre-shipment check. We do that the box performs in advance, and then only we put something very, very valuable into that kind of a packaging system. So from Aeris Dynamics, we have all these kind of packaging systems available. We have the VIP PCM systems, and then we have the single-use system. Then we have the pallets, passive pallets that is used for the commercial shipment transportation, and the biological, of course, temperature loggers and dry ice, and all these kind of packaging systems are available with us. So this is a general thing, that before we ship out anything, just make sure that everything is in place to so that there will be no temperature excursion and wastage of anything. And that's about it from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Saluja, for taking up this topic and briefing us about temperature controlled packaging for temperature sensitive pharma shipments.